Did you just not hear what I said?
I did, but I mean, did you not just hear what I said?
You said something about morality, and all I hear when I hear morality at war is wah, 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 wah. There is no morality in war.
Well, I mean,
They have to play and pretend morality, but if you have no future to start with, then what the hell? Fuck it.
what the hell? Fuck it.
I'm gonna make you feel my presence for the rest of your life.
Look, I'm telling you right now. I mean, I believe that these particular countries. Now, I'm not. I mean, Japan has to be in NATO, right?
I don't know if Japan's in NATO or not. I'm not 100% sure about that.
I mean, I assume they are. Yeah, I'm gonna have to look that up after we're done here. But if they are in NATO, they team up with Taiwan. Taiwan and China.
I think Australia's in that boat too. So now you got Australia,
we
Taiwan,
know Australia is
right
in NATO. We know that 100%.
So there you have three countries facing off against China. Right off the bat.
Either way, a declaration of war against one country in NATO is a declaration of war against all countries in NATO.
Right.
Like I said, that's what's going to kick off the entire global situation, we will say.
I mean, we're already feeling the entire global situation of this Cold War that I believe that we're already in. And it would only exacerbate and get worse if.
Now, I mean, you say we're in a Cold War.
Right.
Like, you know, I mean, obviously the Cold War from the 60s to like the 90s and everything.
Cold War.
That was a different kind of situation than this one.
Cold War means that we're fighting each other without the use of weapons.
Right. Well, no, without actually fighting each other, I would say.
Right. And
we're using other people to fight each other with our weapons.
And are we not in a trade war with China? And are we not kind of in that same situation by placing all these limitations on Russia's ability to sell their fuel and oil? We're basically at war with them financially.
All right. Well, yeah. I mean, and this is why I say economic sanctions do not work.
Right.
So anytime you hear economic sanction,
I think it has
throw that shit right out the window.
I think it has some limits on how effective they are.
Well, I mean, I just don't believe that those particularly work. I mean, obviously, what would hurt a particular country more would be trade sanctions. That's in particular where the Western countries, we'll say, gain the advantage because we consume more products. Right. So if we just up and say, guess what? We're not buying shit from you.
Isn't that what a sanction is? I thought that's what a sanction was.
To an extent, but hear me out. Let me finish the thought.
Okay.
If we're not buying stuff from you, that hurts you. Guess what? Economically.
Right.
Your GDP is down.
Right.
So, what can you not do with that increased GDP revenue, which you would make on taxes?
I don't know.
Can't buy more weapons.
Yeah. I thought why are you fighting? You're fighting your own argument then by saying that sanctions don't work.
Well, I'm saying that they don't work because there are ways around it.
I mean, there are ways around it, but it's more difficult and more expensive. So
there are ways around it, and at the same point in time, if you make it a global thing, in particular, especially with what is going on with the Russian energy shit, guess what? Countries are caving because their citizens are suffering.
That's
Germany in particular.
Yeah, Germany is a fucking idiot for not listening to Trump those 4 or 5 years ago when he said that they need to reverse course. So Germany is partially at fault for Ukraine. Not to mention the democratic establishment is exasperated the situation by basically.
Stopping fossil fuel drilling on federal land.
Well, that's completely separate.
Keystone Pipeline. I mean, the list goes on and on. We can go on and on about this shit.
Let me give you kind of like a thought that I had the other day,
Go for it.
just to finish this off.
Wrap us out with it.
What did Trump get impeached for?
He didn't get impeached.
Yes, he did.
He got a no. Wait, no, I'm not sure.
He got impeached by in
But they
the
didn't,
House.
They didn't actually.
They can't kick him out. They couldn't kick him out without the support of the Senate.
Okay. Well, what did he get impeached for?
He got impeached for
Fill me in.
asking the Ukrainian president to look into a Hunter Biden situation at Burisma. So, and by the way, he got impeached off an assumption, not actual fact that he actually did it. So, the fact that he wanted to look into this Hunter Biden situation in Burisma, in Ukrainian energy company, which he had no qualification for, but was making an extremely large amount of money.
Do you know how much money?
I don't remember exactly.
I believe it was upwards of $80 billion a year.
Okay. So, why did Trump get impeached?
Because he knew too much.
He got impeached because of Joe Biden's corruption.
Because he was asking questions.
Yes. Joe Biden's corruption is the reason for the impeachment of Donald Trump.
Okay, so just to circle back around to this, do you think that we are sending as much military aid, via weapons and everything, to Ukraine at this point in time because of the Biden-Ukraine relationship?
It's not 100% why, but it definitely exacerbated the situation. So the Bidens are in some way related to the war that we're having in Ukraine right now.
Do you think there are files and documents in Ukraine?
If they were, they're burned by now.
Are you sure?
I would.
Are you sure someone's not holding them for a rainy day?
I mean, it's possible, but
now we're getting into conspiracy theory level shit.
I'm pretty sure they're burned a long time ago, and I don't think we'll ever get the. Well, we're never actually going to get the facts. But there's no doubt in my mind that the Joe Biden, Hunter Biden situation exacerbated the war in Ukraine currently.
Well, I would say, you say exasperated, but
made it worse, or kind of escalated it to some small extent. But
I will agree with that.
That is not 100% why we're at war, but that is part of it. And that's not. And I'm not just saying that Hunter Biden's the only one. I believe.
You keep touching my chair. I want to touch yours.
I believe that basically Burisma was a place full of corruption that was under investigation by the Ukrainians, and not only were the Bidens involved, but I would be shocked if it wasn't more establishment cronies involved in the corruption in Ukraine.
I feel like you want to say Clintons.
I don't know if they were or not.
Obviously, no one knows.
Right.
We barely even know that Hunter Biden was involved.
Oh, we know that. We know that.
But we barely knew that.
And most people,
the crackhead fucking gave his laptop to a fucking repair shop.
You know that saying where there's smoke, there's fire? Well, first of all, we know that the Hunter Biden was working with Ukraine in Burisma. So you connect Biden, Ukraine, smoke, war, Ukraine, Biden's the president, fire.
I was going to say when there's crack smoke, there's fire, but...
Well, I'm just saying it in the most simple possible terms.
I understand. Yes, totally, 100% agree. I don't know. I just this particular week, I wanted to, kind of discuss the Russia-Ukraine thing because we haven't really talked about it a whole lot.
Right.
You know,
And I think you learn something about how warfare actually works in morality.
well, I mean, at the same point in time, I would like to assume that. Now, granted, we're talking about American soldiers and everything. They are more, on a moral front
No,
than
wrong.
particularly than you like to assume. Anyway,
We're all soldiers. We're all soldiers. The only thing that differentiates us is our level of training. And level of training is never gonna decide whether or not we're gonna decide to survive in a wartime battle that our life is threatened. Every single man is gonna act the same exact way, no matter where you're from.
there you go. You heard it first. Insight from a veteran. So we'll just go ahead and wrap it up there. This has been episode 36 of the Bangcast. Talked about Russia, talked about China, talked about propaganda, talked about bullshit,
Right.
talked about a lot of stuff. So, ladies and gentlemen, I'm of course Gregor Guy.
My name's Casey,
And if you found any bit of this content enjoyable, remember to like, share.
and subscribe. The bell button or some shit.
Yeah, do that shit. So, everyone out there watching, enjoy the rest of your week.